My name is Jacob Reiff. I'm a co-founder of Wantist, and we help people give amazing gifts. In our society, we all give gifts. It's a thing everybody does. And a lot of the time, it's a chore. It's, oh crap, I gotta find a gift for somebody, run to the store, here's this thing, and they open it up, and okay, great, thanks, and they put it on a shelf, or they re-gift it, or they do whatever with it. But when you find somebody an amazing gift, it's a completely different scenario. Suddenly you have a sense of anticipation. I can't wait for them to open this. It's like you've learned this great secret. And then you take more care into wrapping it, and you make it look beautiful, and you get them a nice card. And so when they receive it, they instantly, just from the visual, can tell that you've put some thought and some heart into it. Ideally, they read the card, and they're touched, and all of that. And they open the gift, and it takes their breath away. They're excited that somebody understood them. And that's kind of where we want to take gift giving for people all across the board every single time. That's the goal of Wantist. Because we all love giving gifts of a product you've never seen before. The instant somebody says, oh, I saw this at whatever store, you're like, ah, crap. But if they've never heard of it before, I've never heard of this, this is perfect, where did you find this? That's what we want every single time. Because then that strengthens relationships. That person feels like you know them. You've gotten a stronger bond there. And if that happens all the time through this societal obligation that we all have anyways of giving gifts, then we're helping strengthen friendships and relationships and families. And you know, when somebody writes us and says, I found this great thing and I gave it to my mom and she's blown away, and you know, that's really what Wantist is about for us. We've been in Portland since 2005, I believe. My wife Brittany and I both run Wantist. We moved here initially. I was doing client services work, and then we moved away briefly for her job, and then moved back and started Wantist. It wasn't Wantist at the time. We just knew we wanted to start something together. I'd been doing web stuff since as long as I can remember, 96, 97. Went through a bunch of failed ideas, basically, kind of stumbled on a bigger idea than what Wantist is, and then pared it down into what it is today. The site initially launched about 1.5 years ago in a much smaller form, mostly as a blog that we were trying to use as a marketing tool for an app we were trying to build. The marketing part took over all of our time, so we nixed it. Went back to the drawing board, reevaluated what we could accomplish and execute on, and relaunched Wantist in its current state in November of last year. So being a one-man dev shop is both positive and negative. Positive because I know the product inside and out. I wrote pretty much every last line of code. Because I do all the design as well, I know how to integrate the back end and the front end, and of course I know every flaw, and so that drives me insane. Both Brittany and I have a little bit too much of a craftsman personality. We want everything to be perfect, and while we try to implement techniques like time boxing to say, okay, this is 80% done and that's good enough, sometimes you just get sucked into the last 20% to the detriment of the company's success as a whole. But overall, I think it's something that will have to change as we grow. It's just trying to grow the business to the point that it can sustainably take on other designers, other developers, and keep everybody employed and keep the lights on. So, a lot of trial and error, a lot of reading. There are a ton of great tools out there to help you get past the hello world type app. But a big part of it is having an idea that you're passionate about and breaking it down into granular parts, and then figuring out how to just implement that granular part, getting that victory, getting that boost of confidence, and moving on to the next one. For most of my life, I thought, I'm not a programmer, I don't have that mindset, I'm not a programmer type. But programming is really just breaking down a complex system into its granular parts of logic and then fitting them all back together like Legos. I'm sure a lot of programmers will want a better explanation for it than that, but I mean, that's the basics of it. And when you're passionate about an idea and a product or a service that you want to bring to the world that you think can make a change, that's kind of what fuels you through going, I don't know what this exception error means, and I'm just going to Google it, and somebody's probably had the problem before. One big tip with that is choosing tools that are mainstream. So if you're looking at Ruby, which is a great language for beginning programmers, use Rails. Don't use Sinatra or something more obscure, simply because there's not going to be nearly as many Google results, and the communities are much more advanced. And you want to go where places where they've got a full breadth of educational material from day one up through advanced. Portland for me is amazing because it's so inspiring. There's so many people here that have a maker mentality, whether it's the new ADX space over on the east side, or people crafty Wonderland and making things with their hands. Of course, all of the tech scene and everybody hacking things together and showing them off. All of that's incredibly inspiring. The other part that I love about Portland is that it's a living city. I grew up in Texas, so you're either at home in your car or at work, and everybody's kind of every man for themselves. But here you get such a sense of walking around, and everybody is a part of a bigger community. Having things like Washington Park so close, so if you're on the day-to-day roller coaster of a startup and you need a breather and you're sick of looking at that 50 long to-do list, take a 10-minute walk. Get among gigantic trees, sit down for 10 minutes, take a deep breath, you're ready to go again. I haven't been in a city that offered that in such I'm in an urban environment, I'm in the most beautiful park I've ever seen within a 10-minute walk, and then you're right back at the computer, energized and ready to go. My words of encouragement and advice would definitely be, if you have the inkling that you want to do it, you just have to bite the bullet and do it. Tips are throw away your TV. That TV's a goner. Throw away anything that's a distraction like that. Realize that we can all talk about the roller coaster, the ups and the downs. The ups, at least in my experience so far, and this is kind of a downer, but the ups are great but fleeting, and the downs will really get you down. And you got to claw your way back out of them. And you do it every time, and every day is a new day. But when you have a success, it's only so big of a success because, yay, another thing on the to-do list, get on with it. There's always something else to do. Whereas the downers can get you, oh, what am I doing here? I need to get a job. I'm squandering. What is going on? So just be prepared for that. The other thing, I'm very lucky that I do this all day, every day with my wife, and she's 100% committed to it. And so we get to have that struggle together and rely on each other. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you're planning on going on this alone, you have to have their 100% support, because otherwise, when you're having a bad day, they're not going to fully understand those downs. They're going to start to doubt, and that's just not a recipe for success in the slightest.